you're going to be more square rather than having this shoulder closer to the catcher. So this is significant. Now, so that's a secondary issue. We're not going to worry about that right now, but we'll take a look at that as we go. The glove side, if that becomes premature, we get our rotating. We're rotating too early, and we square up, and that's that picture that I have of the in that newsletter that I showed you. Okay, so now, okay, there's flexion there. That's good. That's very much like cane here. See it?
Yeah.
Very good. Still stays there, but notice your glove side kind of works against you.
Yeah.
You kind of leave it in here, and it needs to be solid in here, and you need to rotate around it.
Yeah.
And this is starting to lengthen out. Now we're still okay, but I bet you if we were throwing full speed, you never get to full lockout, which is a good thing. That means you did not have a bang in the labrum. You get close there. Okay, so you see your arms flexed here?
Yeah.
You want to now just rotate the thoracic spine through there, but because your thoracic spine stops there, and then we get that, but it doesn't look like you don't get your bang there. So what I'm trying to stay away from is that arm. That's a little bit, see, when you get your glove over here, just do that one time. Just get yourself in that position. Can you feel that?
Yeah.
Alright, now have this go, just leave that there. Just have this go here. That already feels better. Then this goes, and then that's, so it's just little things like that. Right? This is Strasbourg, by the way. And where that comes from, Lane, that comes from right about here. You stop rotating your trunk a little bit, and your shoulders kind of stay. You need to keep rotating it.
Okay.
And that glove looks like it almost stops you from doing that. And that's let's take a look from another perspective here.
Archimedes determined, so now what you're trying to get to is that Archimedes determined that whether an object sinks or floats depends upon its density compared to the density of the water. Wait, is that changing?
Okay, obviously you're throwing shoulder that's closer than your glove side shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay, now from here we want to keep rotating around the hip. Now, see, now notice this. Okay, you're in pretty good shape here. Watch what happens. Is there any rotation from the trunk or the hips on this next frame? Very little. What happened to the arm?
Just extended.
It straightens out. Think of you're in a car and you're driving down the freeway and you got a safety belt on. I hit the brakes, the safety belt saves my chest from going forward, but what happens to my head? So when this stops moving, energy goes this way, arm lengthens, and that is going to be your rotator cuff. Now you catch it up, and that's better. So you're not going to hurt it near as much here as you would there.
Yeah.
Okay? Remember we talked about A, B, and C, and I think I did not teach this well enough last time, and let me teach it well this time. Once I get released, right, and I just rotate, this midline, my elbow should never cross my midline. So Did it cross my midline? Well, here's my chest again. There it is.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If it crosses my midline, right, that's a B.
Yeah.
Equal.
But if my hand doesn't get on the outside here, that's a B. An F, I used to sell as C, but it's an F. If we go from A, B, and F all the way out here, that means I got the label. Okay? So,
So he wants to be an A.
A and a B.
An A, okay.
Don't let that arm cross. So now, what was good about this is all of his extension happened where it's supposed to happen, out here, and not, see that's still, there's some flexion in that arm still, and then he rotates. Alright, now we still need to rotate the hip a little bit more,
Or in other words.
alright, and the ankle, and we need some more mobility in the ankle and the hip and the trunk and the hip and the thoracic spine so we can keep rotating around there. Because if it stops us, think about it, my hamstring too tight, I'm going to get to about here and I can't go any further,
Yeah.
right? My hamstring's a little bit more flexible, I can get out over. That's the reason we work on it so hard. So flexibility, you know, they always say with that joke, BSF doesn't make the paint, it makes the paint more colorful. Or it doesn't make the airplane fly better, it makes the doesn't make the airplane, it makes the airplane fly better. I don't know if you remember those commercials, but really, sure, make me feel my age here. But really, hip mobility and thoracic mobility doesn't make the pitcher, it makes the pitcher better.
Yeah.
All right, that's all it is. It doesn't make the pitcher.
Yeah.
You could have great, a gymnast has great thoracic spine mobility, can't pitch a flip,
Yeah.
right? But that limitation or constraint on thoracic spine mobility or hip mobility or ankle mobility will not allow you to do what you want to do. That's the reason you're going to David and David. Should be a law firm.
David and David.
David and David. All right. And so when you end up having this kind of movement, you see how you look like you're almost falling forward? That to me means something has stopped rotating. Your body goes, no, okay, I guess I'll go this way, right? And if you're really good, you should be able to just take that in and look like Nolan Ryan as he just finishes this way, right? And the fact that you have to almost hop when you're done, which means something's stopping you and you can't keep rotating and it's throwing you forward.
Right.
Okay? Let's now go forward. Okay, we've already seen this, but we're just going to play it again. When I was talking with your father when you were down there doing your functional movement screen with Jill, I talked about this. This is how complicated this gets. Alright? You need stability on the bottom of your feet. You need mobility on your ankles.
Right.
You need stability on your knee.
Yeah.
You need mobility in your hips.
Yeah.
You need stability in your lumbar spine. You need mobility in your thoracic spine. You need stability in your glove side. You need stability on the scapula back here. You need mobility in the shoulder joint, the GH joint, and you need stability in the elbow. You need mobility in the wrist, and you need stability in the fingers. That's all you need. Other than that, it's pretty easy. Okay, but here's why I say this. All of a sudden, you don't have very good stability in your feet. Makes the ankle have to be more mobile, or it has to make the ankle stable. Well, the ankle's not supposed to be stable. It's supposed to be mobile. If the knee is not stable, then it forces the hips to be stable. Well, the hips want to be mobile. If the hips aren't mobile, it makes the lumbar spine be more mobile, but it's what it's meant to be, stable. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So it has all that problem. You go back, you can go the other way. Thoracic spine is less lax in mobility. It forces the lumbar spine to be more mobile. That's a problem.
Yeah.
All right. So there's where you have this kinetic chain that go through the system, and so you need to make sure that each part. That's the reason we do barefoot, a lot of bare feet stuff, because we want the bottom of the feet, and we do. We have your freeze or you know, your Vibram shoes and all that. All that is to help the feet be independent, be stable. And then we do ankle mobility, we do knee stability, we do hip mobility, and of course the lumbar spine. Everybody's talking about core strength. That helps the lumbar spine be stable, right? And then you got, and it's more complicated than that, because the lumbar spine, there's parts of it needs to be, parts of the hips need to be stable and parts of it need to be mobile. And it gets pretty complicated, but, and human beings even make it more so, because every one of you is unique, and you all have different movement patterns, and then you try to, so it becomes very difficult. But there's your concept here as you go through, okay? So what you're doing with Dave and Dave is really good. That needs to happen. You remember your pattern, what it needs to be as you start to go through this stuff.
I just read it. Shipbuilders have figured out how to make social programs on the shape of this place is a lot of water.
I think this TV's been wrote on a couple times.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah. Okay. So now, I always want to do that at the house. My mom wouldn't let me, so I had to grow up and get my own ranch. Okay, so now, see the pronation here? So we got pronation, there's the solid. This is going to be more effective if this glove is out here and it's real solid and the body is moving toward it. Looks like now you've moved this toward your body, you've kind of tucked your glove, and really it's not supposed to do this. This is almost like it holds on to a pole and I move my body to it.
Right.
For something to be very powerful rotational, you have to have a fixed end to rotate around it. And what the fixed end is stability, 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 and then this rotates around it.
Right.
Okay? So that glove set is going to be important. How are you going to fix that? Easy. I know that sounds impossible. Get a ball, squeeze the crap out of it, and it'll work every single time. Okay? Because as soon as you squeeze that locks this in, and it doesn't, okay, you can't squeeze it. It just solids that up, and it works perfectly. Okay? So now we go to the next frame. Very good pronation and deceleration. Right? Right? Next one. Now, look, we're starting to see the rotation of the thoracic spine. See? There. Okay, now that just needs to continue. It does, but it looks like this is starting to overcome that turn. Does that make sense to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
This needs to keep on rotating. Keep on rotating. It needs to be maintained. So it is really, it's like there's a pole right here, and you're rotating right around it. So that requires this to be stable, this to be stable, this and this. Rotate around it. And as soon as this stops rotating, we get that. Well, the energy's got to go somewhere, right? It can't be dissipated back here, so it goes right out there. As soon as that happens, then the soft tissue, the labrum is a real shallow, it bangs up against that labrum, and it's a rotator cuff has got to keep us from getting out of socket, and there's where we have the problem. And so now, there comes the hips. Now that's good. Now I want you to, so here's what really confounds most pitching guys, right? Is that you do, at the end, demonstrate, this is good. So if you show me a picture, right, look, arm flexed, that looks good. But what happened in the middle of it is because you were lacking a little bit of hip mobility and thoracic spine mobility, you didn't quite get there exactly when you needed to, and that arm straightened out. So you just need to build that flexibility and that pattern of. I was telling your dad there's capability, and then there is patterns. All right. And so what Dave and I are working on, we're both working on both capability, and then there are patterns. Movement patterns. The movement pattern helps build capability. Capability helps you allow a better movement pattern. They are interconnected. You can never separate them. Right? I gave your dad the analogy of a gymnast. A girl gymnast was stretching right next to me. Right? Lucky me. And I barely having my leg come about 90 degrees, and I'm pretty proud. I'm like, yeah, look at that. And she just goes, whoop, way over. And I'm like, oh, God, right? She's way better. And I go, well, you must be a gymnast. She says, yes. And later, about 2 minutes later, she goes, yes, and I've lost a lot of flexibility. Excuse me? If I did that, it'd be over. They just called 911 and come get me, right? That's it, okay? But it's capability and patterns. When you start to not have this movement, you start to lose in capability. If you don't work on your capability, you're not able to have these patterns. It's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Yes. That's how you answer that. So you need to work both on capacity and work on patterns. All right. Primarily, we work on patterns here. Primarily, Dave and Dave may disagree, but they work on capability. All right. We work together best if we're working together. Okay. Unfortunately, most baseball players, coaches would have no idea. If I'm talking about capability, they would go, is he good or not? They think that would be capability. And patterns is like, well, you throw a fastball always in an 0-0 count. They would think that would be patterns. It's a movement pattern, right? Yep. Everything is a movement pattern. Some are more efficient than others, some are more effective than others, and we got to constantly work on it. Okay, so any questions from you, Dad, on the, because I'm going to go finally to the pelvis, but this is the big thing for him, is if we can make our deceleration pattern more efficient, he won't have that bang. He won't get to there. Okay, he will continue. This he still hasn't rotated yet. Okay, so it's just a little bit forced, but that's normal. All right, so let's watch you. Do you have any questions of me before I go to the pelvis? All right, glove side. I didn't even mention the glove side last year. Tell you, did I? Man. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at your pelvis. All right. Okay. Here's the ground angle. All right, which is way better than it used to be. Here's this angle. That's way better than it used to be. So that's good. Just don't have this go back to create this.
Yeah.
So as you lift, don't let this drift back. Have this press out.
Yeah.
Have this back hip press that way. Don't have your head go back. That's kind of what I call false pelvic load or cheating. You know, look, see your glove? Your glove's here is good. That's good there.
I know it needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but.
That's great. Do we have some tension going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we just get a little too tight. I'd like to see that glove right about here.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that.
Right.
See, we don't. See how that.
Yeah.
We didn't get any that time. Let's see. You got some flexion here. Right? That next frame needs to be.
Yeah.
And you just go. There's where your rotator cuff is.
Yeah.
That's what's causing your rotator cuff irritation. Now, you've got to flex a little bit there, but that's. And look, this hand is way over here.
Yeah.
Which he's feeling it right in there. Now I sent you home. Dad, you probably don't. Let me see if I can find it here. We're trying to get.
Right.
Okay. And then don't let that. Don't just, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't let it get to a bang point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Any questions from either one of you?
I don't have any.
No, I guess the one question I have is,
Sure.
so when he's doing this routine, he should be suppose his teacher does something that's LaRock. I'm really wondering, is he supposed to do this regardless of what happens with LaRock? Not substitute in, well, LaRock's doing something that's got the same, that's doing the same muscle or that's doing the same thing.
I would say at least 3 weeks of nothing. Don't, I mean,